Okay so far? First cut on consumer surplus, the different types of price discrimination. Well, what else can I do about that consumer surplus? Is there some other thoughts on how I can get some of that money? Well, let's draw. Go ahead.
For example, when they have like a sales, and let's say, for example, there is a pair of Nikes worth of $100. Then the consumer, they get it for, let's say, $50. The $50 is the consumer surplus, right?
No.
Because they say $50 actually.
Well, they may. If he was going to buy it for $100, but he got it for $50, he got a $50 consumer surplus.
Yes, that's one.
But here's the consumer surplus. Shoes are $100. You like the shoes. You would have even paid $200 for two pair, maybe $150 for that pair. You would have paid $150. I say, here it is for $100. I give you a second pair for $50 or $60. And bingo, now what's happened? I got more of your money. That works. Sales like that. Buy one, not get one free, but get one cheap.
Yes.
Okay, consumer surplus, let's draw another one up here just to give us some numbers to work with. You do the math real quick. That's 100, that's 17, that's 97. How much is a consumer surplus? $4,000, right? This is 80 by 100. 1/2 of 80 times 100 is 40 times 100 is 4,000. So there's $4,000 consumer surplus. We thought through the price discrimination ideas. Here's the next one. It's called, see if I haven't run out of space, two-part pricing. This is option 2. Option 2 for two-part pricing. How does that get your notes good and confused? I don't know that I can always make this work, but here's my concept. You come into my store and you want to buy 100 of these because they're 17 bucks a piece. But the fact is you were willing to pay a lot more money. So I look at you and say, tell you what, if you'll buy a membership to my business for $4,000, I can sell them to you for $17. Were you willing to pay that? You were willing to pay $4,000 up here plus 17 bucks a piece. Remember that? So I simply say, look, I'm going to charge you a membership fee in the amount of the consumer surplus, which you were willing to pay, and then I'm going to sell them to you at the price you wanted. Two parts. Now, this seems maybe an exaggeration, but if we had smaller numbers on it so the consumer surplus wasn't so huge, can you think of any business where you have to buy a membership before you can buy stuff there?
I used to work at a tanning salon that you could either go in and just go in like 1 or 2 times and buy a tan at a certain price, or you could pay like a $60 membership fee and then buy them at a cheaper price.
At a member's discount.
Yeah.
Called Sam's Club. Called Costco. Sure. Think about that next time you go down and buy your membership at Sam's Club. Has nothing to do with you buying any particular item. It has to do with the extra money you're willing to spend in order to get that low price. How do you do that in your store? That's the next question. This right here. That's what should be coming to mind. Is there any way we can give people some kind of an advantage by buying a membership? And if so, not only can you make more money, bring in more revenue that way. Remember that when you get this plus your price, this is all profit. Because you got the same cost for selling the same amount. All right, third option. Make you figure this a few times till you get comfortable with it. What's a consumer surplus in that graph?
One half base times height, 50 times,
125.
You forgot to divide by 2. Good. The consumer surplus here is $125. How much was the customer going to spend when he bought these 50 things? $9 a piece. What's 9 times 5?
45 is 45.
Math. Damn. He was going to spend $450. You with me so far? Two-part pricing, we'd have said $125 for your membership, and you can buy them for $9 a piece. Instead, we're going to do option number 3, called block pricing. And it says this: I will sell you 50 of these things for a price of $575. Single price for all 50. Would you do that? Would this customer do that? Look at him. Is he willing to spend $575 to buy this? He was willing to pay $9 a piece for 50 of them and get $450, and he enjoyed $125 consumer surplus. He was willing to spend this, and he did, and he was willing to spend this, but he didn't. So yes, he was willing to spend those together. He was willing to spend $575. So we say, how many do you want? 50? Oh, that's $575. How much is that per unit? We don't sell them by the unit. We quote you a price based on how many you buy. And you don't have to go to the extreme here. You can say, well, I'll sell you 50 of them for, I don't know, $523.14. How did he get that? Well, we got a really fancy formula our accountant figured out. Would he pay $523? According to this thing, you damn skippy he would. He was willing to pay $575. You're going to sell him $523.14. You see what I'm saying? All right. This exam is going to have you talking and thinking about these kinds of issues. These are marketing issues. These are pricing issues. Remember the 7-step marketing plan last time? Figure out the needs you satisfy, identify the customers, do the marketing mix, and follow up. I want you to be able to discuss that, and when one of those marketing mix things, the 4 Ps, was price. How would you price this product? And I may give you a scenario. Here's somebody going to start a business. Here's what his costs are. Here's the general blah, 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 blah. Maybe here's what his demand curve we think looks like. Give him some advice. Remember where we started. If I can give you 2 points out here, price and quantity, you're supposed to be able to build me a demand curve. From that approximate demand curve, you're supposed to approximate the consumer surplus. And from that consumer surplus, from tonight's discussion, you're supposed to be able to say, well, here are some creative marketing pricing ideas on how to make more money. That, combined with the time value of money, is what this exam is. No mas. Okay? Questions, comments? That's everything I really wanted to say tonight.
Number 7 on problem set 2.
Okay?
It doesn't seem like it would be, I just don't know where to start. It says you borrow $400 a month, you have to repay $500. What approximate annual interest rate are you paying for the loan?
Good. For 1 month. Right?
Right.
Okay. If you go to my YouTube channel and you want to see this again, it's under something called Snappy Strickland's Lending Emporium, or something like that. More commonplace terminology today, payday loans. What's a payday loan? Anybody familiar with that experience?
Is that where people go and get TVs for like you pay each week or something?
Not quite. That's rent to own,
Oh.
which has a lot of the same connotations. They screw you.
You borrow money for a short term.
You borrow money today until your paycheck comes in next week, and then you come pay it off. Payday loan. I'll loan you enough till payday. Watch. I'm going to loan you $400. You're going to pay me $500, so I'm going to make $100 profit. I loaned you $400, so what's my ROI?
$25
25%.
per month.
Thank you. Perfect. 25% for 1 month. What's that on an annual basis? Multiply by 12.
300.
That's a 300% interest rate. A 300% interest rate. And these are real numbers. And it's not just the little shady guy next to the 7-Eleven with his shop all kind of crummy down in the bad side of town. Some of the biggest banks in America are doing this now. And they are charging rates from 250% up. Who would do this? Only two kind of people. And probably people with both characteristics. Absolutely desperate and absolutely ignorant. And I don't mean that to be pejorative. I mean, not talking down about them. They just don't know any better. There was a time in this country when we had something called usury laws. Usury was charging a rate of interest that was so high it was illegal. And back then, the maximum rate on loans was typically 18%. Those days are long gone. You can charge anything you want on a loan. But when somebody says, I'll give you this today for this much tomorrow, what if this had been for a week? I'll give you $400 this week for $500 next week. What rate of interest would that be? Let's do this on a weekly basis. What would you do? That's 25% per week times 50 weeks a year. How much is that? Is that right?
1,300.
1,300%. What happens to people who get in this jam? Some of them pay it off, but most of them, they can't make the payment. And so they have to extend the loan a little further. Give me another week. Sure. 1,300%? No problem. I'll give you 3 more weeks. Right? That's where our financial system can take advantage of us. And so we have two resorts. We either become educated or we depend on the government to protect us. And actually in this country we try to do both. But we particularly use government to protect people who simply don't know any better. And when you say, no, we don't want government regulating the lending industry, then you have people out on the street taking out these kind of loans. Now we can talk about what's fair. All right, end of topic. Other questions, anybody? How many of you are graduating this term? Nobody here? Okay. Just curious. I like to go to graduation.
You're not teaching financial next semester?
I am not teaching finance next term. Nope.
Do you know who is now? Have you heard anything?
I have not heard. All right, anything else? Peace.